Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sarah and Adam Show, where I apparently keep wanting to call it Dagger for Sight Pleasure.
I was wondering if that's why you paused.
You usually try to see things a little bit more negatively about me, so I can understand that.
I don't think so. I,
Hmm.
I think I just see things negatively about everyone in general.
You're a little bit like that staring person, whatever his name is, his mom is just like, oh, your collar's too high in Andor.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of how I think of you.
That's not very nice. I don't think that's a compliment.
You think? Interesting. All right, so that's why I don't have a collar right now. I'm afraid you're gonna read into it. Um, you know,
Uh,
you what do you think? I feel complimented when you treat me like that. So, anyways, we have two shows to talk about today.
mhm.
Only two instead of four, though. Pretty soon it'll be for 1 week. I think it'll be three shows. In fact,
Yeah, because we get a new show next week.
we do. I'm a little bit tired. I'm like like you and I have both had really long days. Like
Yeah.
I just got back from a trip to the East Coast
Mhm.
and then back all in a couple days. It was I don't know. I'm a whiner for it, but I do feel like jet lag is awful.
And
Like come on.
traveling is so tiring.
Well, I mean, it is like, and you're just smashed next to all these people, and you're like, who knows what diseases I have that just haven't like started showing symptoms yet for these
Yeah.
people. Yeah. Anyways, so and you've had a long day as
Mhm.
well for sure. And um, I don't remember why I was saying that.
Um, Probably because you didn't say the name of the show starting next week, which is Tales of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, I'm tired. I'm like I don't want to start a new show.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I feel like these are gonna be shorter episodes for some reason.
Yeah, the trailer said shorts. Six new shorts. Like I will be super annoyed if they're like 3 minutes each or something.
Oh my gosh, that would be stupid. They wouldn't do that, would they?
So on Disney Plus, all the shorts that they have are like
Right. There's.
3 minutes.
Uh, I hope not. They because it kind of looked like it was going to be a pretty cool storyline. But maybe they showed us everything in the trailer.
Well, seriously, like the trailer is like 2.5 minutes. It's like so essentially we just saw 1/6 of the show.
Oh gosh. I was thinking maybe they'd be more like 20-minute episodes,
Yeah. I hope I'm hoping for that.
right?
I'm hoping for that. Yeah.
And then and they start on Wednesday next week, which is the same day as Andor. Which is just very weird to me. I don't know why Disney doesn't put them out on different days.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless that's the other reason I'm like, I wonder if they are just little tiny insignificant nothings because that would make it more understandable how they'd have,
Right.
you know,
I mean,
some shorts and their feature because they really don't want to distract Endor. Endor is doing pretty good, I think.
and Andor has 12 episodes total, right?
Yep, we just got
So,
done with seven.
yeah, so we've got a ton of Andor still to watch. Like,
Hmm.
so it kind of seems weird, but whatever. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, there's some good positivity from Sarah today, guys.
I tried.
Have people been sending you vibes lately? Like good vibes.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say they were sending me like negative, telling me I was being too negative or something.
I was talking to my sister the other day, and she had this whole thing about how vibes were so stupid. It's really funny. It's like you should be a stand-up. That was pretty good.
Ugh.
It was a pretty good little monologue there. That's my sister who said, well, she's the one who says she's not funny. So you know. Anyways, she was talking about vibes. So that was me kind of referencing it. I don't need to steal her humor though. So let's yeah. So we got that one piece of news. Otherwise, that's basically it, right?
Yeah, I still have been searching for anything about Wheel of Time season 2, which the more I search for it, the more despair I feel.
Have you watched the thing, the trailer thing yet?
I think I
The
did.
teaser.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched the teaser.
I'm so weird about that. Like I haven't seen it yet. I don't.
I just don't. I mean, on one hand, I'm like, that's kind of good news if there's a teaser, because then you've got enough content to cut from to make a teaser. But on the other hand, I'm like, can you just give me season 2 now?
Right. And well, it makes sense that they're not going to hype it yet,
I guess.
right? Like, well, so I got an Amazon box the other day, and my boys were so excited, and it was just like it's something really boring. It wasn't socks, but it's something as boring as socks, you know. And like clearly not, definitely not for that. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, what's in here? This is so exciting!" Because the whole box was full of Rings of Power. Like it was just like this big, because it's from Amazon Prime, you know, and it's
Oh, they don't do that here.
oh
So, like, was it like
big.
flyers inside of it? Like,
Oh
oh,
no, it was just the box itself was just heavily decorated, as you know, like there was art on the outside of the box that they delivered.
stop. For real? I feel so ripped off. I get a plain brown box that just says Amazon Prime on the side with Amazon Prime tape closing it.
It really doesn't matter. I mean, it makes sense that it would be more boring in Canada, but I just I don't think it's that big of a deal. But they were so excited because wait, Rings of Power, it's awesome, it's so fun, and
I want a Rings of Power box.
you can have mine. I bet we already deleted it though. I mean, like recycled it, but yeah.
Do they do that like
You
all
seem
year
so
long?
affronted.
I'm just curious. Is this like was this a special like Rings of Power thing only, or do they do this all year long for like different things?
That's the only one that I've ever noticed.
Okay, I feel a little bit better then.
Sorry to trigger you there.
I'm a little bit upset, but it's fine. Okay.
Well, I'll tell my boys that they had right to be excited then.
Yeah, I did not get, and I get Amazon Prime boxes all the time, and I have never gotten one that has like artwork on the outside of it.
Hmm.
Huh. All right.
That's okay.
Moving on, I guess.
I suppose if we have to.
It's probably for the best.
This has been the longest conversation about something I don't think is important at all that I've had all day. Probably all month. This is like the most trivial thing. It's like we should talk about Kim Kardashian or something so I can break
No,
my record again.
no. Let's talk about House of the Dragon episode 9.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more appealing. Like worlds more appealing.
Worlds more. Oh man. Okay, so when did you watch? Did you watch it today?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna have time during my trip, but man, it's just such a whirlwind. Like I just wasn't thinking about how I mean, it's foolish. I should have like considered it, but it's like, okay, you travel in the afternoon, you get there, you lose 2 hours because you go to the East Coast, and it's already late. You and I had to record Crate,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to go to bed because I had to get up at like what was normally 6 in the morning for me. I had to, you know. Anyways, I'm just like totally out of it, so didn't have time to watch the show. But today I did, and it was good.
Yeah, I liked it. I I was surprised that like Rhaenyra and them weren't in it. There were no blacks in it.
Like Team Black.
Team Black, yes.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that I think that to me that was the biggest surprise. But I thought it was really interesting. I loved the way, so whether or not you like how like what their goals are, and you know whether or not you like the people involved or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I I liked a lot the methodical way they consolidated their power, and
Mm-hmm.
like to just see like how they just like they started real small, and then kind of, you know, as they secured different things and places and people, they kind of expanded out a little bit, and, you know, started getting the different lords involved, you know, and to see where their loyalties were. And just as the, you know, as the consolidation grew,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to actually make it all work. I just thought it was fun to see like how methodical and planned it was. I don't know, like I can appreciate that even as I was like kind of horrified that this was happening.
Right, because I was just gonna say it was really methodical, and you can tell that they knew exactly what they were doing and how they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But it was also so calculated, and it almost had like a dictatorship vibe to it. Um,
I mean, it's a kingship where the king's word is law, kind of. So,
but it was like in the sense like you're saying like you know like they expanded it and they got the different lords involved and all this, and it's like they got the houses involved and to see like where their knees were or where
sure.
their loyalty lied and if they would bend the knee type of thing. And you know, Otto was just like, yeah, you're not leaving this room until you tell us
Right.
where you lie, and if you don't bend the knee, you're not leaving this room in a good situation.
Yeah. If you're not convincing about it, then
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and that's kind of like what I mean by like dictator is the wrong word. It was very much a coercion type of thing. Like you
Hmm.
could really feel that they had no choice, and you could see that on some of their faces, like as they were slowly bending the knee kind of thing and kneeling on the ground. Like they were like, I have to do this or I'm gonna die. And
I don't see why you wouldn't just bend the knee. Like first see for a second to see if anyone else,
mm-hmm,
if there's a pretty sizable number of people who are hesitating, then maybe you can just overthrow it right away or
right.
something. But otherwise, just bend the knee. Like it's like you said, it's coercion. Like to me, that's not binding. Like
Mm-hmm.
if someone tries to rob me at gunpoint one day and they just think it's funny, they're like, now, you know, like promise that, you know, like you'll go kill your mother or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Like I'll say whatever you want because you got a gun, and I'll play your stupid weirdo game.
Right.
But I'm not gonna go kill my mother after that. At least not because he says to.
Right.
You
Or
know.
hopefully not in general.
Right, exactly. But that was the attempted understated joke there.
uh,
But um yeah. Yeah, but like that I in my opinion that would, like, I don't know, maybe they have a different and this is just another example of like if you want to be an honorable person in this world,
mhm.
like you get cut down.
Yeah, and it it also was one of those things to me that it was kind of heartbreaking in a way to see because you do see Allison kind of come to so this is what I noticed about Allison in this episode was she is genuinely upset and does also believe that like Viserys wanted Aegon to be king, thinking it's her son Aegon. But so like she's following this like dying wish request type of thing. And you can see that she's kind of realizing that she's been this puppet this whole time, and for lack of a better like phrase, doesn't have a spine, so to speak. It's doing everyone else's bidding and wishing for them, nothing of her own. And it is just so unfortunate to see, because you can see that happening, and then at the same time she just keeps doing it. Like, you can see that she's realizing this and she just continues to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I told you so a little bit though, because I feel like I've said like she's not the snake that you thought she was.
I think she's kind of still. I mean,
Yeah, backpedal.
She locked Rhaenys in her room, and
Sure, she should.
I feel like that would be something that, regardless of what you think, if you think that you are fulfilling like the last wish or whatever, if you've realized you've become this puppet and all of this, you're doing that because deep down you know that what you're doing is not the right thing.
Hmm. I don't think so. I think that's smart. Like, what good is so if you're Alicent, like
Mm-hmm.
letting Rhaenys just like go
Mm-hmm.
on her own will, like what good is that going to do for you or your kid? Like,
What good is it gonna do for you to piss her off though?
well, if she chooses wrong, you just freaking kill her. Like if she says the wrong thing, you take care of her, and otherwise, yeah, like you otherwise you get an ally here. Like keeping her there keeps the word from spreading, because she's going to go and tell someone, and that someone's going to go and blab to someone else. Like she's going to go off and
Mm-hmm.
spread the word. She will absolutely be the conduit to tell everyone about it. You have to contain her one way or another, like even if you don't want to, like for the good of your own kid. If you're convinced that you should be putting your son on the throne, you
Mm-hmm.
can't have you can't have her potentially going and ruining things. She should do that. I think that was. I mean, I'm not saying that overall, like obviously, like we know as the viewers that Rhaenyra, everyone intended for Rhaenyra to take the throne,
Right.
but knowing what Alicent knows, like I do I like that Rhaenys was constrained? No.
Right. I just don't think it was smart. Like, I see what you're saying, that she's gonna go and tell everyone, but I it
I
just
think it was
doesn't
very smart.
it just doesn't make sense long term. It makes sense short term for your plan to do this behind Rhaenyra's back, so that she has a harder time now, because Aegon's already been sworn in basically as the king now. But I
Well,
think long term, you shot yourself in the foot.
I mean that can be said for all the nobles. I think like this, and you said spineless, but this is pretty unspineless. Like I think that this is like you're playing with fire here. You're choosing a side. You're like, all right, let's listen. We have to do this, or else we're all dead, kind of. And like they didn't execute well. Like they
Mm-hmm.
clearly missed a step somewhere, and that almost just totally screwed them. In fact, I can't believe Rhaenys didn't just torch them.
Oh, I know. It was. I was waiting for it, and uh, what I will say is I sat on it afterwards and I thought about it at the end, when she didn't, and it really just showed the level of her character, in my opinion, and the um, way that I think she probably would have ruled if she did have the Iron Throne instead. Because instead of lashing out, she just chose to leave and be like, "Screw all of you guys. I'm I'm leaving. I don't want any part of this."
I think she could have, like, they're gonna have this big long protracted war now, and it could have
Oh
saved
yeah.
thousands, tens of thousands of people's lives. I don't know how many people are gonna die, but like it would. I think that she could have saved so many people here just by killing all these treacherous bastards. Like
Mm-hmm.
whether or not I'm defending Alicent or whatever on this, like at the end of the day, this is just straight up treason.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
this isn't what I would call okay. Like I said, I was kind of like team green a little bit, but like if I had to choose one,
Hmm.
and honestly, like I do think in a lot of ways Alicent is more like I'm more sympathetic toward her than Rhaenyra's,
Hmm.
than our town. I think like this is pretty BS, and like I think they all should have just gotten torched.
Torched.
I wish they had.
Yeah. I was really hoping they would, especially with the high towers, because that we've had some chatter in our Discord server about whether or not the Targaryens would survive, like the dragon fire, if she did
Sure.
Dracarys their asses, as I said. But
Well, they could
uh,
survive, and the dragon just.
that's that's true. But the high towers wouldn't. Like Allison and Otto would be gone. And I
Yeah.
mean, arguably, and this was the episode that really really painted it for me. Um, and I mean they've been showing this whole time, but you really see it shine in this episode. Is that Otto is just the absolute worst.
Oh yeah, like he's decided, like he decided a while ago at some point, like he and the council have sat down and plotted this for a
Yeah.
long time. Like he's no stranger to this whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. Yeah, just if you took those two out, then would the family have to rename themselves to like middle towers or like low towers maybe?
Probably no towers.
Yeah, well, that would be a little sad too, but no, I mean, yeah, he's chosen what he wants to do. I think that I don't know.
It's
They're all snakes. They're all snakes, and it just kind of grossed me out. But it was pretty interesting to watch, I guess.
it's also really baffling to me that Allison just so bent on listening to like these men around her and having them tell her essentially what to do, and she's like just being the puppet. But when her own son is like, I don't want to be king, I don't want this, she's just like, nope, you're doing it. Like, I'm like, why are you choosing not to listen now? Like, you've been listening to everyone this whole time, and now's the time that you're like, no, 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 no.
I think it's funny how biased you are against her. It's funny.
But I mean, she's not listening to him. It's just a weird thing to me that like Aegon in general is like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this until of course he gets all the fanfare and you can see it, the switch happen in him. But beforehand, like, why would you not have a conversation and be like, okay, if you don't want to do it, maybe Aemon should then, or like it was your dad's
Yeah.
last wish kind of thing. But
Well, I mean, they lose all moral anything if it's like I don't know, like they in my pit, like it's not about how he feels. Like
mm-hmm,
that this is the law. This is if they're gonna follow the law, and especially they're putting like a super loose interpretation of the law here.
mm-hmm.
Like, no, the king changed his mind. Like, and Allison really did feel like they said that or whatever, but I still think it's pretty sketchy. Like they would have made something else up probably otherwise. I think they're like, well, the king did say Aegon, but Aegon didn't want to, so we decided to just pass it along to his brother. Like, I don't I think that gets into the realm of like, okay, you clearly are just planting a king.
But like Aegon could choose to pass it. Like they could have a conversation with him to be like, you can accept it and choose to pass it.
Do you think he could though? Like, I mean, they referenced that Rhaenys should have been the queen, and
Yeah.
Viserys would have been what would have liked to not have been the king. But
Yep.
I think he felt like he couldn't pass it off. Like I think that was just nope. I'm doing my duty. I have to do this, even if I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Um, I don't know because I mean I think Aegon and Viserys have completely different personalities. in that regard. I don't think I think Aegon's not doing it because he is enjoying the attention.
What?
Like Viserys is he took it on. He didn't want it necessarily.
Right.
But I feel like he had more of a humble personality than Aegon does.
Sure. So you're saying what?
Like I just think that like Viserys would be more likely to do it, basically, is what I'm saying, than Aegon would be.
To set aside the crown?
Yeah, to be like, oh, okay. But I don't know, the whole thing, it just I don't know. It's all just like, how did nobody in this entire episode go, okay, he said Aegon. Did he say my son Aegon or my grandson Aegon? Because there's two of them. Because you guys name all your kids the same names.
Right.
Like, how did nobody think? You know what? That guy, that Sir Criston Cole, smashed his head into the table. I think he probably would have said that eventually if he had gotten a chance.
The beeswax guy?
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. Lord Beeswax, Bees something.
Whatever it was.
None of your beesness.
The one that Sir Criston Cole killed and somehow is still a knight. And apparently is going to be Lord Commander.
Yeah. Oh, well, that guy's a great example of like, well, if you're like that guy's like, this is treason. This is ridiculous. How are you guys? And they're like, you will die.
And then no
He's
one
like,
bats an eye.
Yeah, he just gets murdered. I mean, you have to imagine there's going to be people get murdered in a succession like this, especially when it's not entirely legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, and I mean, the actual Lord Commander kind of called them on it when Otto gave the order for him to go to Driftwood, wherever Rhaenyra is, and like make it quick or whatever. And he immediately is like, "No, I take orders from the king, dude, and I'm done here."
Right. Let me know when there's a king.
Yeah, and then just leaves, and they have no issue with that. But the other dude is like smashed in.
Well, I mean, it's about how you go about it, though. Too. I mean, one of them was just like, no, I'm neutral in this. Like, leave me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm neutral. Like, leave me alone. I'm a knight. You guys have trusted me with your lives for a long time. Will like he's honorable to them. That this Beesbury guy is just going to go out and tell people and make a huge fuss of it.
Maybe.
Like he basically told him, he's like, I'm not gonna stand by.
I mean,
and to me, it was all about the secrecy of it. They had to keep the secrecy of it, or it just explodes into this ugly. They're trying to avoid a war, whether or not it's just for their own selfishness or because they care about not having to lose a lot of people.
Which to me is like the actual funny part of all this, because you're being secretive to avoid a war. What do you think is going to happen when Rhaenyra and Daemon find out?
Well, if you do it the right way, though, maybe they find, yeah, sure. So they're gonna react poorly, and they're gonna try to marshal people. But if you do it the right way, if you, you can really cut a lot of their support away from them, so that they're not as big of a deal. Like one way or another, if you're gonna try stealing the throne from them, you're gonna have issues with them, unless you can have them assassinated or something. But otherwise, but they're trying to consolidate their power as much as they can so that they're the ones with all the advantage.
I still don't like it.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying, like, if their objective is to take the throne and supplant the rightful ruler, then they've got to do all sorts of sketchy, shady crap.
Well, and I mean, like, you can see that with some of them that they're okay with that, like, especially Otto. But, like, Alicent, she wasn't in on the planning. And she says from the very start, she's like, you can't kill them. Like, he loved them. You can't kill them. Like blah blah. Like this whole thing. So what did she expect that they would do though at the end of this? Because you're not gonna kill. She doesn't want to kill them. She wants to cut them out and keep it a secret from them. So does she think they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, no problem? Like, of course not.
Right. Oh, well, I think that they I mean, she eventually grew a little bit wiser. She's like, all right, I'm gonna play it. Like, she sent out agents of her own to go. Like, she's like, all right, I'm gonna use the tools I have to go get my son. You know.
Right, but that doesn't solve the Rhaenyra problem.
Sure. I think she started taking agency though toward being able to like. I mean, I think she just doesn't want like she like I said, I think she's been like I've said a lot of times. I think she's been genuine all this whole time, and slowly she's been slowly ratcheted into the fact that she's going to have to take her own power. Like she's going to have to, do it herself. I really liked when Rhaenys was like, "Have you ever thought of taking the throne yourself?"
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's going to be a factor. I almost think it won't, but
I don't think it will. I don't think Allison has the balls to do it.
oh balls.
I just I mean, yeah, sure, she sent out her own agents and like looked for her own son to do this, but she's not thinking long term.
Well, you know, she's not. But you're also. I feel like you're also like condemning her for like. You're saying that she's not. They're not doing it long term to talk to Rhaenys and try to get her on their side. Like, what a huge flip that would be if they could flip Rhaenys to their side and have her dragons to command.
Of
It's a pretty
course.
big deal.
Of course. But I mean, it makes sense to do that if you're trying to command power. I'm just saying she's not thinking long term in terms of what do you do with Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously conflicted there.
Yeah.
And I can't blame her. And to me, that shows that she's not an entirely terrible person. Still, like out of all of them, she is the least cold-blooded because she actually cares. She wants something good for Rhaenyra. Like she's conflicted. To me, like to be a monarch, I think maybe that doesn't really belong. She should maybe not be as sentimental toward her old friend, but she doesn't want that. She's like, I'm sad that the king is like. How many people were sad that the king died? How many people truly mourned his death? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just probably one, and that whole council that no one else cared.
Well, I mean, he's been dying for 20 years. So,
so what did you think about? I thought maybe the princes were go. I thought maybe I forget his name, the second prince, the one who stole the big dragon.
oh, Aemond.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I almost like him in a way. Like I think he'd be a ruthless asshole of a king. Like he wouldn't be someone I'd be a fan of, but I think he has a point. He's like, I should be king, and he's more suited to it than his stupid brother is, at least at
I,
this point.
I think that Aegon is like the one that goes out and gets drunk and just hops from bar to bar all night long. And
Yeah,
Aemond is the one that calculates everything and then will torch the town.
sure.
Like I think if it had been Aemond on that dragon, he probably would have Dracarys their asses.
And I think honestly, that's the kind of decisive thing you want in a king.
Mm-hmm. Um, I I still think I think I said this a couple episodes ago. I still think that he's gonna be the one that starts. Like I think them kind of usurping the throne or actually usurping the throne in this episode is gonna be what pisses off Daemon and Rhaenyra. But I think Aemond is the one that's going to like be the inciting force from the green side of it.
I think he'll be their general, kind of, or at
Yeah.
least like their inspiration. Yeah, like he'll be the active one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it just to me the thing that I kept thinking this the whole time, other than I really liked the music. That this time I thought the music was really good.
Mhm.
I just kept thinking like the idea of like is being a king something we like so on some levels they're choosing who's going to be king, but on other levels they can't choose whoever they want to be king. Like they have to play within the rules a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Like i I don't think anyone including Alice, well maybe Alicent because of what her late husband, she thought her late husband said, but
Mhm.
otherwise I think if it was all just like if they all had their druthers,
Mhm.
they'd have chosen the younger brother, like in terms of competence, in terms of like
Right.
fit for it. It seems pretty obvious, and yet there's no thought to that. There's no one considering
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
That's not a consideration, and so it's like you have to crown the one person there. Like yes, they're choosing who's going to be king between two choices. That's it. Like that, those
Right.
are the only real options. And just the idea of duty and how much should duty outweigh competence or
Mhm.
preference, or like even if it's unanimous preference, the preference doesn't matter really
Mhm.
as much as the duty. I don't know, just like that the weighing of those the balance is like I guess we'll take the lesser son, but that in a lot of ways that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I think though in this you really see though that in a lot of ways it doesn't really matter who is there because it's the hand and the advisors calling the shots.
Right. Well, and I guess if that's the case, so what do you want in a king? Like, do you want someone who's going to push back at every moment and do his own thing,
Right.
or do you want the guy who's just going to be like, I'm just going to go get drunk. You guys choose what to do.
Right.
Like that. Probably that's why Otto was smirking when he's on the little.
Mhm.
Like he's like, oh, I got who I wanted in there. Like, and I just see this as an opportunity. I'm like, dude, you're the king now. Yeah, you there's all sorts of awful things about you, just like everyone. If you're in this show and you're not dead yet, that means you're an awful person. And that being said, you should like this is your chance. This is your chance. Like, go be good.
Mhm.
Like, take this as an opportunity and just forge yourself into something new.
Mhm.
And we're not going to see that, but I want to see that anyways.
We're definitely not going to see that. We're going to see them just in complete chaos.
Yeah. Well, I hope he can make something of himself. That's all.
Aegon?
Yeah.
Mhm. I I don't think he will. I
Yeah.
really don't think he
I I
will.
don't I don't think so either. I just
Uh,
want him to.
I know. I think he's just so forlorn and helpless at this point. And, they're eventually all going to die. I guess not all of them because the Targaryen line does have to continue somehow.
Everyone eventually dies.
Hmm.
Every man dies. Not
Oh,
every man truly
oh
lives.
boy.
Both Braveheart.
Um what there was what was with like how did you feel about the whole Laris Strong thing with the feet?
Yeah, that was pretty awkward, wasn't it?
I was like, what is happening here? And then I'm
Well,
just like, this is just real
it's
awkward.
like she pays him with like,
Her feet.
yeah, she's like, look but don't touch, bud. Well, and they made like these always had a limp, but they made an obvious effort to show us his feet at
Yeah.
least one time.
Yeah, they did.
And it's like he gets off on like straight feet.
It's weird. I don't know. It was like the whole interaction was weird. I feel like
Yeah,
you
I
could
wish
have
you hadn't. Wish you hadn't brought it up.
Uh,
I'm uncomfortable.
Sorry, I
I
just feel
hate it.
like you could have like a relationship between them in general without that being necessary. Like without that being the driving force, you could still have her being the
Whoa.
I don't know, just
Oh, this is I don't know. Correct me if I don't really. It's just weird, and it's not really what I would call okay. But on the other hand, like, would you call this cheating? If she's in a dedicated relationship with someone else, and
mm-hmm.
then she does this with this guy, like, is this cheating? Is this something less? A little bit. It's like it doesn't quite make it to that.
Yeah, it's like this weird gray area. But I'm also like, how long have you been doing this for? Like, and how did this
Right.
start? Like, how did you figure out you could pay him with your feet?
She paid his fee.
Like, oh, oh, oh man. Yeah, it's just a whole thing. But um,
Well, it's super cringy. I don't love it. I
mm-hmm.
like I said, I don't love that you brought it up, but yeah, it's there now. So I don't know what to make of it. It is weird. Like, honestly, I think that's pretty helpful for her. Like, if that's all she has to do is just like every once in a while, like, show her feet and just like
Mm-hmm.
endure a couple awkward sounds from him, will he just
Yeah, gets his rocks.
gets going, gets finished, and then like that's a pretty it's like, and he's like this really capable person to do a lot of the dirty work that she doesn't want to have. Like, I don't know, that to me that seems real cheap. Like
Mm-hmm.
like you're paying for good quality work from a guy, and that's from a person, I should say, and that's all you have to do. You just like show him your feet.
I mean, that's what he's into.
I know. I'm like, what if I could hire an employee, like business wise, and instead of paying them like a living wage,
Mm-hmm.
I just like show them my feet, and I have to endure a few moments of awkwardness every week or something. But otherwise, like, I get a full time employee. Like, that's a pretty good price for me. I'm like, yeah, I need an assistant, sure.
Ugh. It was so weird. But
Yeah, it's very weird. Thank you
you're welcome.
for bringing that up.
You're welcome. I feel like it needed to be addressed, okay? It was one of those things that I was just like, what in the actual hell is happening here?
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this, because I didn't understand this. Whose house was burning? Was it the worm lady's house, the white worm, or was it what's her name? The Rainey's apartments in her whole area.
I
I
I
couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell, but I just assumed it was. I shouldn't have assumed, but I assumed it was the white worms.
Yeah, they didn't really, as far as I could tell, they like, I remember like there was a threat in the hand's voice, like,
Hmm.
I'll remember.
Yeah. So I
And
that's what I figured, but
there's no way she was in that house when it burned, though.
no, I don't think so. So we'll see what happens, I guess. Maybe she's gonna go get Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I mean, she has ties to Damon. Like, she was Damon's like
Mm-hmm.
engaged, betrothed, whatever, initially, and then they parted ways. But she even demonstrated she has a soft spot for Damon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I mean, and like somebody has to go get them basically. It's not like Alicent and Aegon and them are gonna be like, hey, come on over. Your dad's dead and Aegon's the king now.
Right. Well, I thought it was funny. So the two brothers, Eric and Eric,
I know.
like, it's the same name, just with an E or an A.
I,
Like, it was just funny.
I know. I was laughing about it too.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Like, they had different. You see them. They seem like the same person. Like, they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're identical twins, but they look very very or even if they are twins, they said brothers. So, but they look the same. Like they could pass as each other in front of me,
Yeah.
and I'd be like if one of them, it's like it's like Michelle from Full House. Like I never
Mm,
realized that it was two people
right.
doing the acting job, you know?
Right.
Like they could do the same thing. Like for all I know, all the other episodes they've chest swapped that guy out in the background. And I'm like, what? It's the same guy. Like, yeah, and the whole time they're all evilly laughing, like you know, like they didn't even, they couldn't even tell. But I thought it was interesting because they ended up with different political ideals. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were fighting about it the whole time,
I
or not
know.
fighting, but like talking about it, and then one of them's just like, yeah, you can go fight that dude. It's fine. I'll watch.
Right. And just watches and then turns around and leaves. Like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an entertaining bit. I actually kind of enjoyed that, to be honest.
Okay, so let's play what if. What if you were a noble in Land's End and your true loyalties were to Rhaenyra
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason that you thought for sure that Rhaenyra had nicer feet. So
Oh
you're
man.
gonna your loyalties to her, and you're in that room, and they're like, you know, bow to the new king, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
or essentially, you know, face the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
I think you have to bow and then backstab.
So
It's not backstab, but you know,
like the spineless route.
I wouldn't say it's spineless per se. I think it's the smarter play.
Sure, I think it's a smarter play.
I think
I
it's I
agree.
think it's spineless if you're more willing to just flip flop on where your loyalty lies and actually follow through with it just because you want to be. That's more of a spineless thing.
Yeah, I agree actually. So I think, yeah, I think that's what good are you gonna do if you stand there and
Right.
you know, especially if you know you're like in the vast minority in that situation, like you hold no power in that situation. What good are you gonna do to the people you're loyal to?
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing in that situation too is you don't know who of the other people that are bending the knee are they doing it because they're flip flopping or are they doing it for the same reasons to just kind of get out of there alive and then you can go to Rhaenyra's side afterwards.
Right?
So yeah,
Yeah, I think you should bow one way or another. Yeah, that's what you should do.
right. Make it out of there alive and then figure out the game plan afterwards.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Um. Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to mention on this episode? I feel like a lot happened, but also not a lot happened.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I I guess I'll just say that this one felt like this was the coolest to me. Like I like I said a few times, I don't think that it was okay the way
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of approaching it. You know, like I don't think it was okay to supplant the king, especially like you have an old man on his deathbed and like he's half lucid. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you going to take his word for it? Like, I think it's the most flimsy of justifications, but um so I don't believe that what they were doing was like the okay moral thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it was really fun to see them like put it all into play, like just methodically, slowly doing all the things, like consolidating all their power,
Mm-hmm.
eliminating their rivals. It was I don't know, it was just very well executed, a very well done episode. And for not showing any of the opposing side at all,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, that was the one thing that actually did surprise me that they weren't in it at all. I actually went back and went through like scene by scene because I was like, did I miss something really obvious? Like, or just something really subtle or like a quick snippet or something, and I
Right.
clearly did not. So I guess we'll have to see how everyone reacts next week, because I'm curious also where it will pick up next week, because this one clearly picked up pretty much exactly where the last one ended, in terms of timing. So
So, final question then. Who is going to die in the final episode?
ooh,
I don't know. I don't know for sure if someone's going to die, but
I think you
I,
have to.
I mean, it'd be almost a tiny bit like no one's died so far, really, right?
Not anyone. I mean, other than Viserys.
Right, but
Not like a major player. I don't think.
right, like the that guy who called her a whore in court, but he was like basically on the sidelines the whole time, anyways.
Right. Um,
Do you think someone's gonna die?
I think someone has to die. I'm wondering if they would kill Aegon already.
I don't know.
Maybe it'll be Helena,
Who's Helena?
the sister.
The sister.
Aemond and Aegon's sister. She's the one
Oh,
that
the
Alice.
sister wife. Sister wife. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. She's the one.
Awkward.
Actually, I thought this was that was really entertaining when she was the one that was like, "There's a beast beneath the boards" or something along those lines to Alicent.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it'll be her. Like maybe that will spur things, piss the brothers off, and get. I don't know. Because she is like, I wouldn't say a key character, but she's a key character in terms of like the family members. So it'd be easy to kill her off and get everyone
She's
mad.
like almost a relief though. She's like a crazy person, isn't she? Like she's kind of insane.
I mean, all that inbreeding, somebody's bound to be at some point.
Well, I thought about that, but she's not actually the result of inbreeding. She's the daughter of two people who aren't related.
Right. But I mean, I'm sure somewhere up along the Viserys' line there is some inbreeding that's been.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to be inbred to be crazy.
That's true. That is true. But maybe it's the sister wife thing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be an easy way to do it. I think it would be more fun to kill off Aegon.
Yeah, it seems super early for that, but maybe.
Yeah.
It's either that or I think Damon could die, and like I don't know what real like I like him kind of, despite like he's a bastard, not a literal bastard in this show, but like I don't know, like him cold-blooded killing his wife like that, to me I can't get over that. But otherwise there are some things that are likable about him. Like I like him as a character, I guess, and I would be a little sad to see him go. But on the other hand, like what value does he add? Like Rhaenyra's now consolidated her power.
Right. And I mean, I feel like he also as a character has achieved what he is supposed to achieve.
Well, and you just know that he's looking to just go out in a blaze of glory at some point. Like literally this time, I think he just takes his dragon
And just
dies, and it's like this really epic death.
man. But like I think I could see that. You have to kill somebody next week. Like things have got to go crazy.
Again, I hope so. Like something that's like, oh my gosh, like, well, how crazy would it be if they just like killed Alicent?
I feel like they won't do that. They want me to suffer.
I kind of hope you do.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll kill her.
I'm in on it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Kill Otto Hightower. See how Alicent runs it on her own.
Oh man. Yep. So we'll see. They have to kill somebody.
Yeah,
And it has to be somebody. It
maybe.
has to be a Targaryen, I think.
Yeah, someone important.
Yeah, it has to be somebody like involved in this that's going to spur this whole war to start.
Yep. We'll
So,
see. All
yeah.
right. Andor?
Yeah, let's talk about Andor. Episode
Oh,
7.
that was interesting to find out who Clem really was.
Mm-hmm. It was, uh, I feel like also just in general that I feel like Cassian's kind of taking like a little bit, at least in this episode, it felt like he wasn't necessarily the main character.
Yeah. Well, who was?
I don't know. It just kind of felt like obviously he was there and you were following his storyline and stuff, but it felt more like they were showing other things in terms of like the Empire and the rebels sort of starting up over
Yeah,
Cassian. I mean, we did have like the flashback with him to see another part of his history and everything, but
sure.
um, yeah,
Maybe the main character is the staring man. That's what he does. I
uh,
thought that was a pretty inspired choice by Uncle Harlow
mm-hmm.
to just give him something to stare at. Like, here, you're gonna stare at a screen.
uh, yeah, it was just. I mean, okay, so what did you think of this episode overall? Because I thought this one had, um, I don't want to say like a ton of info. It was interesting to watch it and to see how things were starting to like spur up even more.
Yeah. So I liked the looking at the ISB stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I don't like the girl that much who's, in the ISB. She's kind of unpleasant, but
Mm-hmm.
and she's also pleasant or not, she's also uncovering rebel stuff, and I'm not on that team. Kind of like I'm on the rebels side, like go rebels, kind of. I
Mm-hmm.
want the rebels to win, of course, and she's the one who's like finding out about their stuff, like she's digging them out, and I still just find I'm like, yeah, I want, like, yeah, go get.
Yeah, I do like her character, and I think also she's showing a really good thing, not a really good thing, but like she's showing a key point of the ISB and how kind of like she's basically showing where the blind spots are in the Empire,
Sure.
right? Because they're not paying attention.
Yeah, I think that's a fun aspect of, like I like that she's just pursuing. I mean, that you and I've talked about this a lot. Like I'm always just like pursuing truth. Like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I care about ideas, and I don't want. I would prefer it if things made, like if my own preferences also, aligned with the truth. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of just a junkie for that truth. Like I want to find what's actually true. What's the actual real truth about it, not just what's convenient for me to feel or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not saying that other people have that's just something I'm always just like. And to me, she's doing something similar there.
Mm-hmm.
Of she's like, everyone's telling her to like leave off, like just coast, kind of, and she's like, no, I'm gonna find what's going on. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna break the rules. I'm gonna make people angry, and I'm gonna seek the truth. And her supervisor's like, look at you, that's cool.
Right. Yeah. She's the one
That's
that's
cool.
like, you guys aren't paying attention to the right things.
Right.
So it's cool. I'm actually looking forward to seeing where she ends up because that's that's a fun storyline to me. Like to see that and to see that she's the one kind of poking around at it.
I like how sterile everything is in that office, like
Yeah.
how everything is just so perfect and like almost just brittle, really, but like so fake, so but everything's so proper and perfect and pristine, and it's
It also just is very
yeah,
cold.
Yeah.
right? Which is fitting.
It's all very rational.
So
Bunch of Vulcans.
I honestly, I hate to say it, but I feel like seeing the Empire side of things, like the ISB and stuff, is probably one of the more interesting parts of the show to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's just fun to see like they also they're showing like how they're consolidating their power.
Mm-hmm.
How they're just slowly like, oh, like the corporate guilds, like they're or the corporate whatever the authority, I
Mm-hmm.
guess is what they call them. Like, all right, we're just taking this away from them. They can't handle their stuff. We're gonna just take it away. And they're just slowly ratcheting it in as well. Like they're just like, yep, we're going to control everything, and we're going to find little tiny ways to justify it
Mm-hmm.
that like people don't really buy, but at the end of the day, what are you really going to do?
Right. Yeah, it's very I don't know. I just really like it. And I feel kind of like gross saying that, but
Yeah. So did you recognize Colonel Yularen? Do you know who that is?
I didn't recognize him. Um he's he's I know oh, man. He's in isn't he in one of the original movies?
Yeah, so I mean, he doesn't really had, I don't think he even has a speaking part, but yeah, he's in episode 4. He's on the Death Star, and then he eventually leaves before it gets destroyed. Like,
Okay.
but in that meeting where Vader, it's like, chokes his guy out for Admiral Mahdi for chat for
Mm.
like he in that conference, and there's all the Imperials just sitting around. Like Yularen's one of them, just
Okay.
gawking, kind of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I remember that scene well.
Not well enough, apparently, if you didn't remember
I know.
Yularen.
Well, I was gonna say why I remembered it well, and then I realized I probably shouldn't because I'll get hanged or something.
I
Uh,
was I was a little disappointed though. He's supposed to have more floofy mustaches, and
mm-hmm.
he does have a mustache, and it is white, but it's not as floofy.
It's not as floofy as you would prefer.
No, I need that floofy
Mm-hmm.
stash, man. It's important for his aesthetic.
Um, what did you think of when? Okay, so first of all, you were totally right, by the way, of where Cassian
Hmm.
went.
Oh,
Um,
yay.
did you think I was like setting you up for a trap or something? You seemed very hesitant to hear where I was going.
I don't hear you admitting that I'm right about much these days, so that was unexpected. I was like, oh, she actually meant it because I was right about that.
You
That's
were right.
I was
You
like, you damn right, I was right. My
called
new
it.
phone, by the way, my new phone just won't get over it. Like I have to find some setting because I type damn in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it autocorrects to darn every time.
It will learn.
Yeah, it's happened like I don't know, like over 10 times. It's obnoxious. Other words, I'm like, okay, eventually it's accepted that it's not duck anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's never duck.
But it won't it like I think that there's a problem. Like I don't think it's learning darn is not the thing I want.
Hmm. I don't know how you would fix that, but
I don't, but it's just so funny. I'm like, oh man, those darn Imperials. Like, I don't know. I'm like, they're not
uh,
really the same word, even though they're kind of expressing the same thing. Like,
right. It just doesn't have the same ring to it.
it's just so mild. Those darn it all.
Uh, um. Okay, so Cassian goes back to Ferrix, I believe is the planet, right?
Sure.
That's his home planet, or where home was, I should say, where Bix what is, and his mom that
Yeah, he goes back to his yeah,
his home
his
base.
mother's planet. Yeah.
Um, what did you think of that? Like, were you so when he was interacting with his mom the whole time? I was like, this just doesn't feel like she just felt so distant.
I was worried for her, actually. I thought she was gonna have like a heart attack or something.
I was wondering if she was doing it to like make him leave, or like I was trying to figure out what her angle was because it just felt so weird from what we had seen her do before. And then this time she just felt so like there was this huge wall between them.
Well, I mean, I think she's well, it's funny, like she can't even conceive the idea. Like, so he just got lucky and he has all the money he needs now.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, the rebels just scored a big hit, and robbed the place. And she's like, oh yeah, these two things happened at the exact same time.
Right.
But she's like, nah, it could never be. Like she never even it never even occurs to her that maybe he was part of it.
Right.
I think that that's the biggest divide is she's like, well, I found something to believe in and you don't
Right.
believe in that, and like where there's a gap. Plus I think she is concerned. She's like, she was clearly happy to see him. I think she was just like, well, you're just going to put everyone in danger and everyone's blaming you, like you need to just go.
Right. You can't put the rest of us in danger. Yeah. I think you're right. Like she was happy to see him and stuff. I just was very I don't know. I almost felt like maybe there was like Imperial soldiers there hiding or like waiting to ambush him or something, or it just had that kind of weird feeling to the whole interaction.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. I was kind of inspired by her. I was like, oh, that's cool, good for you. Like you're gonna go fight. Like you found something. She reached her breaking point. She's like, all right, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I was just like trying to figure out why she was kind of having that like temperament with him.
Temperament.
Yeah, like
Just the way she was reacting. I mean,
yeah, like I don't think she was being like mean or anything like that or whatever. I was just like trying to figure out if there was some other thing going on basically. Cuz it just felt different from what we had seen before.
well, I think she doesn't know what to do with him. All the other times she's talked to him haven't been the warmest either. It's like they've kind of grown apart.
Fair. I mean, so we don't know. I mean, they didn't clearly say like exactly how long he was gone for, right?
I mean, it wasn't long at all though. Like, I mean, maybe he did after he stole that money
Mm-hmm.
or, took his cut. It wasn't really stealing, really.
Right.
After he took his cut, yeah, maybe he did lay low for months, but I got the impression that he just came straight there. So it's
Right.
been like less than a week. Because, oh yeah, well, because Bix is still beat up. Like her
Yeah,
face
you're
is
right.
still all beat up. So,
You're right. That's a good point. Um,
so it hasn't been long at all.
right. So they've just had like the Empire forces have just kind of like moved in quickly after he left to go do this because it almost felt
Right.
like between his mom and Bix that they were both kind of just like you can't be here, like you caused too much trouble. And
Hmm.
because even like the way Bix was interacting with him too after when she came out, like she was like, you know, you caused too much trouble, you don't pay off your debts or whatever it is or whatever you owe,
Right.
which he did. It was like a little bit of a, he's like, yeah, here's your money, bye.
Oh, well, yeah. I like. She was pretty cold to him. Like I think
Yeah.
he was kind of hoping that she would go with him or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, that he was being like, okay, let's go, let's get out of here. And she was just significantly more shut down to the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their past is. Like we haven't seen it. Maybe they'll show it to us eventually. But
Hmm.
I think I don't know. Like she just came across to me as just this whiny. I don't know. Like she just is like, oh, and this is wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. This and this and this.
Hmm.
And she wasn't. There was no kind word for him. You know.
Was that frustrating for you? Because I know you were saying you wanted to see her again in other episodes. So were you like a little disappointed that that was what we saw?
No, I don't know. Like I just I related to him a lot though. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, see ya. Like, okay, I'll pay my debt. Goodbye. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need, if you're gonna give me the cold shoulder, I'm not going to just keep begging. Goodbye.
Right.
So to me, I thought his response was pretty appropriate. And if she seemed sad from it
Mm-hmm.
afterward, and I was like, I mean, those are consequences, I guess. Like maybe you'll have an opportunity later, maybe not. But like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't play, if her end goal was to actually like end up with him, or to, have him be part of her life,
Mm-hmm.
uh she didn't play her cards right. So
Right. Um, fair.
I don't know. I don't care if she's in the show really. Like I liked her in the first few,
Yeah, I feel like
you
she was a
know.
good character in the first bit.
But then the next three were great without her. They were just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. I don't know. Not that I hate her. Like she's clearly going to be part of the show still. But
Right.
yeah, I didn't care. What did you think?
Um, I just noticed like how cold and standoffish she was. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I think that she's probably just viewing everything as Cassian's fault. Like she said, you shot two officers dead, like all this kind of stuff. And I think she's just lashing out because, Tim's dead, Cassian's gone, their Empire forces have moved in. It's worse than it was before, clearly. So I think she's just taking the opportunity to lash out at someone that she sees as the responsible person for it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, yeah, like he's not gonna she's not gonna just like hook up with him right then, you
Right.
know.
I didn't like seeing it, but I could see why it was happening. But I definitely like noticed immediately just how cold she was. You could tell too, like even when he just like buzzed to her and she answered him,
Yeah.
and she wasn't even on the screen yet with him. You could tell how cold she was just in her voice.
Hmm.
So
Well, yeah, like so there's this thing like I've been thinking about lately of like so like there's like the realistic relationship where like nothing is easy or free
mm-hmm.
or anything, like, and that's what these guys kind of are. Like it's not going to be like this lighthearted lark, like they're not going to have a bunch of banter. They clearly have had a history that has some hard things involved, and even if they care about each other, they find themselves in a place where they can't express it that well, or other things get in the way, and it's very realistic. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like and the question is, how important is that level of realism to me if I'm already watching a show that I know is just pretend? I mean, clearly this didn't happen. Like this isn't reenacting anything.
Right.
It's its own original story. How much do I care about that versus, like a more romantic, like it might be more fun if they were more flirtatious a little bit, and they had some banter going.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like, it was kind of funny at first. She's like, oh, did she tip over a jealous husband or something?
Yeah.
Like, did you find a jealous husband to beat you up or something? Like, it's kind of funny until you're like, oh, that was actually like said out of bitterness, like out of frustration. And, like, I don't know which one I prefer. Like, I really like the Han and Leia stuff in episode 5, where,
Mm-hmm.
like, he's like, sorry, I don't have time to discuss this with a committee. She's like, I'm not a committee. Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's cute, kind of, whatever you want to call it. And, uh, you know, I don't know which one I like more. Like one of them, I'm like, yes, like the reality junkie in me is like, yes, that, like the
Right.
thing between, but I don't know how much, I mean, I'm watching it for an escape in a lot of ways. Like I don't know if I want to see that. So like that's the thing that's been warring with me for a while of, like, because some of the books I read, the books I read, that they're all over the place. Sometimes they're, fantasy land kind of, oh, happy, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a realistic relationship, but it's kind of fun anyways. And you can just, or do I like the nothing's easy, nothing's free. It's just kind of just rough.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't now. I don't know. I never thought of it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know what I would prefer. I think maybe it makes it more like easier for people to relate to like the relationship aspect of the show. Because like,
It's very within the tone of this show,
mm-hmm,
certainly.
mm-hmm. And also like not gonna relate to being put into a chokehold by a droid, right? So
A chokehold by a droid.
by a droid, yeah,
Oh, at the end.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
there's like obvious aspects that you just can't relate to. You could relate to it in a
I
certain,
see what you're
like
saying.
you could probably
Never say
stretch it.
never, Sarah.
I know. Fair. But yeah, I guess that's probably what it's for. But I don't know. I guess I never focused on it too much.
I mean, these are the. I mean, how much does it really matter? Probably not much. I'm always looking for elements of craft in a show and or in a story. And
Right.
that's one thing. Like relationships to me are such an enigma in some ways. The way they're portrayed. Like you have the Disney princess,
Mm-hmm.
like total nonsense garbage. Like I don't prefer that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But on some levels, I can understand the appeal of, like, why can't it be this easy?
Right.
You know, like that. There's some part of my brain that's like, well, that'd be nice to escape to that if that was an issue that I had, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna pay
So
attention now to it. Now that you've pointed it out.
yeah, it's just fun to look at these things of like, well, why does this make me feel the way I feel? I
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no idea. But it's fun to kind of deep dive. I don't know. It's mostly just foolish of me, I know.
No. Um. Uh. Okay. The only other thing that I did want to mention about this that I also really enjoyed seeing was more. I'm really enjoying seeing Mon Mothma and seeing how she interacts. Um.
Hmm.
It's just like a nice. I don't know. It's kind of refreshing because she seems. I don't want to say she's cold, but she seems very like matter of the fact, and like she clearly knows what she's doing, is working towards it, and is doing things in a way so that she doesn't draw too much attention to herself. Like she's clearly very aware of the fact that she has to be secretive and manipulative, and it's kind of cool to see it because for whatever reason I always had it in my head that Mon Mothma was the, I don't know if it has to do with like the costume choice for her or what, but I always kind of had it in my head that Mon Mothma was kind of this like prim and proper type of person, and like
Oh, that's her persona at least.
yeah, like but even in a like she doesn't like do anything cutthroat or lie or backstab or like it was man, I hate the only like comparison I can really think of to draw was almost like she was painted sort of like Mother Teresa, like
Okay.
for whatever reason, like she's just painted. I've always just viewed her as this like,
Saint.
yeah, like not a saint, but like I don't know. It's interesting to see this side of her where you can see that she's being secretive and manipulative, and she knows what she needs to do in order to get like this rebel alliance kind of going, and who she can trust to tell because it's only so many people, right? So it's I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Sure. I mean, I like. I mean, she's a senator, so she's gonna have some kind of, you know, she's gonna be a little bit backstabby, a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
politics.
yeah. I mean, that's just the nature of them. But yeah, I thought it was. I think it's an interesting side to see of her, and I think that the side that I mean, I'm a, as a dad, I'm always just like looking at it. It makes me so sad the way she interacts with her kid.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um,
Like, I hope that she's secretly really close to her kid, and her kid and her, it's a conspiracy between them to have her act like
like she's
she's
not.
she's awful and cold. Yeah.
Oh, um, I wonder if she does that intentionally though, to kind of make it look like she's not close to her daughter, and there's issues there, so that if something were to happen, they wouldn't take her daughter for like retaliation or whatever.
That could be.
I don't know. Just a random thought that
Yeah, it's kind of sad. So, what do you think about her friend? Is he sus? Is he going to be good? What do you think?
I don't know. I didn't think he was sus. Um maybe I should watch it over again and see if he gives off like a sus. He didn't immediately. Like I just thought he was um kind of like just taking in everything that she was saying before he made his mind up about it.
Hmm.
Do you think he's sus?
I mean, I think everyone's sus. Yeah, I think he is. I think that he said that in a calculated way to put her at ease. I
Mm-hmm.
think he suspects. Okay, so she's being watched, and like the clearly people want to know what she's doing. They want to know it, but she's got some protections and stuff in place. And so, what's the best way? Like, okay, so what do you suspect her of doing? Like, you probably suspect her of being something against the Empire, right? Like,
Right.
disloyal to the Empire in some way. So, the best way to get into that would be to send someone who said, man, not you, and, pretend to buy her persona
Mm-hmm.
and say something like, "Man, I kind of hate the Empire. Like you wouldn't understand. Like like playing to her persona. They're like, man, you're so prim and proper. You're such a perfect model Imperial. Like
Mm-hmm.
my politics would disagree with you so much because I don't really like them. Like that's gonna put her way more at ease. Like, oh, I'm fooling you,
Right.
and you're actually like aligned with me. We're like friends, and you're like being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just the perfect line to feed her, and I think that that's what's going on. I think that he's filth.
Do you think that she though would be smarter than that, like smart enough to realize that that's something people would do to try and manipulate her or try to trick her?
I think that she's kind of desperate, is what I think. And they've been friends for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, we'll see. I hope he's not, but this is also a spy movie, and it wouldn't be any fun if no one betrayed anyone at the end.
That's true. That is a very good point. Um,
Her husband's already. She's like can't be trusted.
yeah, which was pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
They have a very weird I'm just like, what is your relationship even about and for?
I think that they got married when they actually liked each other,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's just kind of stuck with her.
Hmm. That's a sad way of looking at it.
Honestly, I almost think that he isn't even that bad of a guy.
He's just like a ho hum dude.
Well, I mean, imagine you end up getting married to someone,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you really like them. It's a genuine thing, and eventually, like she's kind of in a way, like she's kind of married herself off to this other persona. Like
Mm-hmm.
so that's her focus. her focus isn't on her family. Her focus isn't even necessarily on Senating.
Mm-hmm.
It's on her, and so like you're gonna grow apart. You're not gonna, there's a new focus. There's a new love in a way for her,
Mm-hmm.
and he just kind of feels ignored. And he's like, I mean, I think he's also like, well, I can't just like ditch her necessarily, like not without giving it a good try. We have a kid, and they're, like I feel like there's probably a lot of people out there who have had a similar situation where they're
Right.
just like, well, I don't know, like, should I leave? I don't really know.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's probably true. Um, and they're just kind of like going through the motions at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know what else it would be. Like, I think you're right. I don't think there's anything necessarily evil or malicious about her husband. I think he's just a dude.
Well, and he said that stuff of like, must everything be gloomy and boring or whatever,
Right.
like, well, because she's crafting her perfect persona, like literally perfect, like everything is just meticulous and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's what people see. That's the side. And but to craft that, she has to act that, and he's just like, this isn't what I signed up for.
Right. Right.
Like I just want to have a dinner with my old war buddies. Like I wanna have a night of being indecorous, and like, that's what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants. And maybe he wants to lynch his traitor wife. I don't know. But
Uh, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't give off that, like, I don't know, backstabbing vibe to me, though. He just seems like somebody who's going through the motions and is checked out. And
well, okay. So one of the things that I really like about their dynamic here,
mm-hmm.
this is so he's consistently having his daughter talk to her mom
Mm-hmm.
about things that, like, to pass it through her, for like, he doesn't just go behind her back
Right.
and erode her authority. Like, he's like, no, like, you have to talk to her first. Like, that's an important, and that to me, like, as a parenting team, like, you have to be on the same page as each other if you're going to effectively raise children. Like, you can't just be like, if I know that my wife has said no cookies for my kid, and my kid is like, hey, can I have cookies, dad? I'm not going to just be like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes if they're being, duplicitous about it, they can work, but then it's a big deal if they've gone behind the other
Right.
parent's back.
Right.
So, and he's still doing that. Like, he's not just like, yep, I'm just gonna, sign it off. Like, he has it pass through her, even if it's kind of strained between them.
Mm-hmm.
He still feels like that's an important aspect. So to me, like, that, I don't know, that in a way, like, that is his biggest recommendation to
Mm-hmm.
me, is the way he parents with his wife,
Yeah.
kind of.
I mean, that's a good point, to be honest. Um, yeah. I don't know. I'm liking her. I'm liking seeing more of her, I guess, start in a way.
Yeah, her beginning a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been interesting. Um, I did want to mention as well before I forget, because I think
Uh-huh.
you said it last week, where there's a scene in Rogue One where Cassian acknowledges, and he says, like, I've never been behind bars, or whatever, like, I've never been in a jail cell.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna, like, do you think he's gonna end up in a jail cell now?
I don't know. I hope not. I hope that if he does, that there's some obvious way to kind of explain that away. Like, they've had a lot of good attention to detail, but that seems pretty egregious if they mess that up.
Right. I was wondering that when I was watching it, and I was wondering if because they do cut it off like that, like it's done. You don't actually see
Right.
him go into a jail cell.
Well, he also, I don't know, like, that he also does make reference, like, that he went to some kind of prison
Mm-hmm.
colony place, whatever, at some point, because he's talking about it to that guy, to his rat teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Like he there he's like, do you know what this tattoo means? Look at all this cool stuff I have written on my skin. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, I did 3 years at this place. Like, I don't know if you would consider that a jail cell or what, but
Right.
it just seems a little inconsistent. Yeah, I don't know. I
That
think that was funny. I mentioned that. Then they,
yeah. But then it also makes me wonder, like, how much of what Cassian says is true.
yeah. Well, I mean, good question.
Right? Like, it is a spy show, and you could argue.
Yeah, I don't feel. I don't know. Like, to me, that doesn't seem like something he would lie about. But
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thing, and I was curious if you thought that they were going to go back on it.
We'll just have to see. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if they do it, I guess I just don't want it to be. I don't know. I don't want to see. I don't want him to see him meet, Saw Gerrera and then be good buddies and leave with mutual respect or something.
Right.
Because that wouldn't make any sense for Rogue One. Like, I need them to be paying a lot of attention to the source material, and that seems like a pretty egregious one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
was
a good
like,
point.
oh, a rebel who's never been captured, like, like, have you ever seen Return of the Jedi? Like, that all they do is get captured every time, all the, like, forever. It's just like they're junkies for it. Like, what's the whole Jabba scene except for that, like, an elaborate getting captured one by one thing on purpose.
Right. Right. On purpose.
And then Leia, like, tries to break Han free, but then they get caught again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, you keep going. Okay, go to the Ewoks. Okay, you get captured again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go to blow up the base. You get captured by the Imperials. Like, it's just like, it's never gonna stop. It's just this revolving wheel of getting captured because it's untenable to kill off the main characters, but
Right.
if you want the Imperials or the other guys to have the upper hand, how else are you gonna do that? Like, so a rebel that hasn't been captured that's on screen, like, that's fancy. Like, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, it's like a unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see. I'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. First off, I thought it was funny that there's shore troopers in this.
Yeah, I did laugh at that.
Um, Second off, did you recognize Val and the Aaliyah lady? Is that what her name is?
Mm, I don't think I did.
Okay, so you remember Val, like the leader of their heist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you recognized her in their conversation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's all made up, and I was like, oh, she's actually kind of pretty. Well, she looks so raw and all the other things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. She does look like, not like raw, maybe just like, I don't know what the right word for it is. I don't want to say she looks like disheveled or anything like that. She just kind of looks like she just doesn't care.
That's fine. That's how they should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's part of their disguise. Is just, like, she can't be look, but she's looking all like, decked out suddenly. And then, did you recognize who she was talking to? Did you recognize who
No.
that person was?
Mm-mm. Did you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's what's his name, Luthien's assistant.
Oh.
But her hair is down, and so she looks way different. But I'm almost certain that's her.
Oh, I did not recognize that at all. Oh man, I'm gonna rewatch it tomorrow because now I want to look at it and see
Well,
if I see it.
that's the way she's like, oh, I thought I'd see him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, the person she was talking to, and like, she knows all the ins and outs of it, I think.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to yeah, I want to rewatch it now to see if I can see it now that you've pointed it out.
Yeah, she looks pretty different. I was like, man, she seems so familiar. But
I got really excited when I saw the K2 droid.
well, they did like a slow motion, like like the I don't know. It was almost like and it's on a beach
Yeah,
scene, and it's like
like a
like
Baywatch esque.
yeah, and he's coming up, and everyone's like, yes, we got to see
Mm-hmm.
K2, and it's not K2 at all, not his voice, nothing.
No, as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh man,
Well, yeah, it
disappointed.
said the caption said it was KX.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, this is sad.
Leaf on the wind.
Oh well. Oh well. Was there anything else in this episode that you wanted to point out?
Hmm. Well, what's your predictions? What's going to happen?
Oh man, I'm so bad at predictions. Um, I mean, I think that I cannot remember her name to save my life. That the girl in the ISB that's kind of like paying attention to all the rebel stuff. I I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that she's gonna figure it out.
She'll crack the
I
code.
think she's gonna crack the code, and I think, oh man, I'm just curious if she's like, I'm wondering if she's gonna figure it out, and then it will have been like too late type of a thing, or if she somehow is gonna get punished for digging where she shouldn't have been digging.
Hmm. Okay.
Um,
What about she's the reason Mon Mothma has to leave?
mm, that would be interesting.
Hmm. What about Staring Man?
Man,
What are they going with him?
I have no idea what to expect with him because I feel like he's just like I feel like he was one of those characters that kind of starts out where you're like, okay, you think you're a hot shot and are probably in a little bit over your head and things are gonna go sideways for you or a
He
lot over your
gives
head.
he gives the least inspiring speech in the world.
Yeah, and but and like things are gonna go sideways, but then they're gonna like figure it out and become the big bad type. Not the big bad, but like gonna become a commendable opponent sort of thing.
Okay.
And I feel like he just doesn't care about anything now. He's just I honestly have no idea what you would do with his character at this point because he just stares.
Yeah, he's just he gets verbally abused by his mom. Like it's a really
Yeah.
sad state, honestly.
I don't know what to expect from him. I thought it was gonna go somewhere else with him, to be honest. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I don't know, it's like they maybe he had a bigger part in the plot, and then they're like, you know what, we're contractually obligated to have you in, this many shows. So like we'll skip you every once in a while, but you have to be in 10 out of the 12. So sure, here, go be a minor bureaucrat. I did love how lifeless they've made it. Like those cubicles are
Yeah.
just the most like, why do I want to be part of this? This is awful.
And just like mundane and yeah, it really looked awful as it zoomed out.
Yeah. But you know what it made me think of was made me think of the Matrix.
D-
How
yeah.
everyone's just plugged in and
Yeah.
just laying there, and they're just batteries. Like that's what it made me think of.
Do you think that like he would defect and go to the rebels?
I think he's going to find Cassian for the Imperials, and that's his redemption
Mm-hmm.
as he sees it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to use whatever information he has from this new job
Mm-hmm.
to find out what Cassian Andor is doing, what makes him tick, and he's going to take it to the Imperials, and that's going to be the catalyst for some important thing toward the end.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be better than just staring while you're sitting in your cubicle, I guess.
I feel like he should just be a stormtrooper because then he can stare and not creep me out.
I,
I'm like, oh, he's just on guard duty. It's fine. And inside, he's like just staring, but I don't get to know. I don't care.
I find that like I just don't enjoy his scenes as much.
I'm like, everything else is dynamic and interesting. And his is just like, what, you're going to take that from your mom some more?
Yeah, it's flat. And I guess
Yeah.
like maybe they're doing that intentionally for him to have some kind of huge breakdown turnaround point, but I don't know.
I think he's just going to be a bad guy at the end of like an unintentional bad guy, but like he'll end up being the person who opposes Cassian and cracks the code, so to speak, and finds
Mm-hmm.
him.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know what else you do with him. It's that
Either.
like it's that or defect or just have him stare.
So what's Revnog?
What's Revnog?
Yeah, that's what he like. They've referenced it a few times now, and like Cassian, that's why he's going to the store. He has to get the greeny green kind
Oh
or some
yeah.
weirdos. There's also Nog. Like there's like Rev Nog. There's like Med Nog. Like eventually for Christmas they'll have eggnog, of course.
Is it like blue milk?
I don't know, except it's greeny green, so maybe
The
not.
greeny
I don't.
green.
I don't know. It's just funny. Like, get me some Rev Nog. Okay. I
Maybe
thought it
it's
was funny too. He had some girl in the bed.
I know.
Like, what's he gonna do?
Uh,
Like,
and he's got his money like hidden up in the shower base or whatever. Um, maybe it's like an energy drink. I don't know.
I wasn't really being serious. I don't expect you to have to know.
I know, but now I'm curious what it is
I referenced it a few times here.
and
I'm
why
gonna
it's
just
called.
Google it.
Why is it called Rev? Like Rev makes me think of like an engine revving.
Yeah, Google doesn't know. It just says, "Did you mean revenge?"
No, no, we did not. Yeah, no. The greeny green kind doesn't sound appetizing to me though.
No, I shouldn't.
Are you still googling it?
Yeah, I'm on Wikipedia now. Pizos, or a type of food. Wendy, a human who slept with Cassian Andor while he was on Niamos, asked the latter to run by more Revnog and Pizos.
So it doesn't actually say.
And now I clicked on Revnog. Revnog was an alcoholic beverage. Pre-More
Mm.
enforcement employees were required to abide by a code of conduct prohibiting the consumption of certain alcoholic beverages, such as Revnog, and the visit of locations such as brothels. Oh, I could click on brothels. That's a clickable thing. Huh.
You're just gonna spiral now.
No, I'm done. Actually, I know what a brothel is, so we're good.
Click from page to page. I would not have guessed an alcoholic thing because I like the greeny green kind does not scream alcohol to me.
I don't care. I don't know.
The more you know.
That's not how I would describe a single thing in this world, though. The greeny green kind.
The greeny
So
green kind.
I just kind of took it more as like she's like just low, mental energy.
Oh, okay.
Capacity. I thought it was just like, oh yeah, like what are we gonna where are we partying tonight?
The greeny green
Oh,
place.
we need the greeny green kind. Of course we do. And he's like, you're so dumb.
Oh, yeah, no. Anything else? I don't think I have anything else. I can't think of anything else.
I don't know. Not really. I will be very interested to see what I thought that we were just going to be done with that girl, whatever, Val. I thought
Mm-hmm.
she's good. And I especially thought we were going to be done with Val's girlfriend, the one that's still on the planet. Like, they just showed like one real brief thing. She's like getting on a speeder.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
Well,
thought we would be done with them too.
I'm not particularly interested in what happens to that. Like, they could reel me back in, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need them to take more
Right.
show time.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see now. Now Val's got a kill order on Cassian, basically.
Yikes.
Yeah, like I don't know. Some part of me hopes that Cassian just like seduces Val now, too. Like that's just gonna be it's a spy move. Like it's gotta,
Yeah.
you have to have unlikely romances.
Yeah. I mean, and this too, like you've been pointing out, the episodes have kind of had like 3 episode arcs. So this was the start of like the newest one. Um, so I'm curious to see what happens next.
Yeah, we'll see if it keeps that format.
Mm-hmm.
I know that so like the showrunner was saying something about how the format's going to be a little different now. I didn't read the article, but
Oh, okay.
we'll have to see if that's what he actually meant.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I don't really care. Maybe it's just now this last one's going to be like a 6 story arc, but there's a lot they've got to accomplish, though. Actually,
Yeah, and they only have 5 episodes.
well, I mean, they have a lot to accomplish, and then the next season is going to
Right.
cover. So this whole show is going to cover a full year. They said.
Mm-hmm. Of like all of the seasons,
Uh,
or
so so season one is going to be one full year,
okay. Mm-hmm.
and then season two that they only have 2 seasons
Mm-hmm.
now. It used to be like 5 planned, but now it's 2 seasons, and the next one is going to be arcs of 3, and it's going to cover 1 year each,
Mm-hmm. So it's
up
gonna
to the
be
point. Yeah, I guess they say the last scene is him getting on his U-wing to go meet up with the guy that he meets up with at the start of Rogue One.
right. Okay. Yeah, so like next season would theoretically be a much quicker pace.
Oh yeah, we'll see like a quick arc, and
Mm-hmm.
then it'll skip forward a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be like Lieutenant Cassian. Oh, Captain Cassian. Okay.
Just jumping all over. Um yeah, okay. Well, I think that's it
Good.
then.
Okay, so if you had to pick between the two shows that someone was like, you can only watch one of these, you can watch.
Oh,
Which one do you prefer
that's
between the two?
mean. Cuz they're just so different. Like
I'm gonna judge you if you get this wrong.
I mean, I feel like you have to keep watching Andor at this point. You can't just
Oh, thank goodness I don't have to judge you.
you don't have to judge me. They're just so different though. Like
Like be like Allison, make a tough decision. You have to make a hard decision.
she doesn't make any decisions. People make them for her.
No, she makes all the decisions.
Um yeah, no, I think Andor is a bit more fun.
Yeah,
It's a different take on storytelling, which I enjoy. Um and it's more fun to kind of see like how everyone is involved and all the backstories and stuff like that. And I
yeah.
like seeing how all of the pieces of the puzzle are sliding together.
Agreed. Oh, one last bit, a little bit of trivia. Do you know
Mhm.
what they kept talking about? Ord Mantell
No, is
in
that a place?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that they're like trying to get control of Ord Mantell, like that's like the system or whatever.
Hmm.
Or whatever. Okay. But yeah, that's fine. It comes up a lot in random things. It's just it's a system. It's a place that I just like it when they use the planets that already exist and have a background. Like this is actually a movie, a Star Wars. Like it was in episode 5. Just a reference, but like Leia's like, Han, I thought you were gonna stay with us.
Hmm.
And he's like, well, that bounty hunter, like, he has to go pay off Jabba. He's planning on leaving, and he's like, well, that bounty hunter we met at Ord Mantell changed my mind.
Right. Okay. Okay. So
And
is it a planet?
yeah, I
Okay.
think so. It's also, I think, in Bad Batch, I think that is their home base planet because
Mm.
they're always getting Mantell mix.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
It's just a random thing. You can pay attention to see if that any kind of Easter egg things pop up with that planet.
Yeah. Or if it becomes like a bigger thing for the show.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, I'm out. I'm out. I'm sorry. I kept dragging things out.
No,
I
you're
just
good.
talk about this stuff.
Um, that's it. So then, okay. So next week we have Tales of the Jedi starting, the next episode of Andor, and then it is the finale of House of the Dragon.
Oh man,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
the hype exists somewhat.
All right. Cool. Um. Yeah. So that's it. It's over.
It's over. Goodbye, everyone. Go join our Discord server.
Thanks for listening/watching.